Right, let's move on anyway, from Earthbound / mother / horror / not a horror. Game Awards founder Geoff Keighley has announced the Summer Game Fest. This is something that Emily pointed out to us earlier this week. It's a new digital festival mode of playable content, in-game events and digital events. The first phase of partners are 2K, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Blizzard, Bungie, CD Projekt Red, Digital Extremes, EA, PlayStation, Private Division, Riot Games, Square Enix, Steam, Warner Brothers and Xbox. It would be great, Anton, if only we'd heard of some of those names.
Yeah, it's really interesting. What do you think the motives are behind this? Because, Geoff, I don't think he'll be making much money off this. And he's putting in making websites, he's promoting it, he's labeling it. What let's start with yourself, James. What do you think they're up to? What's their scheme?
The bottom line, it's good PR. You get these folks' names out there, they're doing a nice thing for people, whether or not it's because they want to or not. As cynical as it sounds, it's still leaving a good impression for folks. And I know that perhaps some of these companies in recent years have not been quite as well received with certain aspects. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think it is two things for me. I think that is part of it. I also think it's we're in a really weird time right now, and I think there probably are only limited things that a Game Awards founder at this time can do to really kind of keep things fresh and going. And I think the second thing about that is that just going forward, fostering those relationships with these companies, I think is a really big thing to sort of even further increase their reputation. And then next year, when things hopefully are back to a bit more normality, it will hopefully mean for a much more official type awards where they can really team up with companies and get them involved more at grassroots level. So I think it's all about, as James says, all about PR. It's all about building for next year. So you're right, you're probably not going to make any money out of this, but the offshoot of that is next year, all the companies, if it goes well, are going to go, yeah, well, thanks to Geoff Keighley, and he kind of put this thing together. And I think that's a big thing, Alistair, going forward.
See, you guys are saying he's probably not going to make much money from this. I suspect he'll make quite a lot of money from this. I mean, there will probably be ads through it in various places. You might not even notice them, but there will be ads and people will probably click on them. But the amount of information people will manage to gather or garner from it, you're basically saying to the industry or to the gamers out there, go focus on here. And everyone will then be able to see what people are actually watching, where the interest is, see what the reaction is in one kind of place. And he's already got all these connections out there, so he knows the people involved. He's obviously done a very good job of bringing all these big disparate companies together, although Nintendo noted by their absence, but they're never at E3 anyway. And I know we'll probably come into the news later, but Nintendo have already, I think, hinted or unofficially said they're not going to do their traditional Direct, which happens in June, which is a bit disappointing. So we can talk about that when we get to that bit, but it kind of all ties together, and this is basically just a replacement for kind of E3, I guess. E3's not happening, the industry needs something to get behind, or wants something to get behind. This is just a nice way of doing it, and I suspect money will be made.
Yeah, I've kind of came to some similar conclusions, Alistair, and I think one part of it is maybe from a management side of this, where nobody really knows what's happening, and I think everybody would like their own time to shine. I think, let's say, a smaller dev doesn't want to be sandwiched in between a PlayStation and Xbox event, and there's possibly some management on that side, but I'm also cynical and being like, this is very much like in the style. It's got very similar branding to the Game Awards. It almost feels like Geoff's just like, all these events are happening digitally. What if I just hoard around them and be like, this is part of the Summer Games Fest. Yes, I made the Xbox keynote where they unveiled a new console, or the PlayStation Last of Us event.
We found a division on the podcast. We found that James and I always see the good in every situation. Alistair and Anton, cynical about every single thing. All based on that one conversation. No, I think you're probably right. I think it's probably somewhere in all of that. He's probably looking at all these things, and you're probably right. He probably will make some money from it, and he probably will be able to jump on things that were already happening. And why not? Because, at the moment, you really are looking for ways to kind of do something a bit different. So I think fair play to him if that's what he's doing, and we'll see where it leads to in the future. Certainly some big names in there. It's going to be taking place, the Summer Game Fest, between May and August 2020. So I suspect, we're all mostly at home.